Hello everyone, ItzzDivinity here with a new guide for the Fire Mage this time. In this video I will be going over the talent setup, the legendaries, the conduits and the stats that you want for a Fire Mage in both Mythic Plus and for raiding. Remember, this is all speculated on pre-raid information that I found on different websites. Think about Wowhead, Icy Veins and the Mage Discord. I will be leaving those links down below as well. So there's still going to be a chance that it will change later after the raid is actually launched. If that's the case, I will be making a new guide. We will be going over the talents first. So, on the first row, you want to pick Searing Touch. What does it do? Well, Scorch deals 150% increased damage and it's guaranteed to always critically strike a target when it's below 30%. So, it's just really great for execute damage as well. Since the moment the target is below 30%, you will be always getting a lot of insta-cast Pyroblast. But, Fire Starter is a very big maybe. That's because if there's a boss out there with a shield at the start of a fight, you will always have guaranteed crits with your fireballs and pyroblasts. However, the moment a shield disappears and the target falls below 90% HP, this is just going to be a dead talent. That's why we're going with Searing Touch. Then we go to the second row. On the second row, you basically just want to pick Shimmer. Blast Wave and Blazing Soul doesn't give you enough mobility compared to Shimmer. Shimmer is just very helpful in every situation the moment you need to mobilize yourself to a different spot in the room. So just pick Shimmer. On the third row, you want to pick Rune of Power. That's also because most of your damage comes from Combustion, but also because of the new change to Rune of Power in the Shadowlands. You see, the moment you cast Combustion, you will instantly get a Rune of Power underneath you. That is amazing, because of the fact Combustion lasts for 12 seconds, and Rune of Power also lasts for 12 seconds. So basically, the entire duration of Combust, you're having a 40% spell damage on everything you do. And because of that, it's just the only viable option. Focus Magic is not the same amount of damage that you get from Rune of Power. The same thing goes for Incarnator's Flow. On the fourth row, you're going to pick Flame On no matter what. Why? Well, it reduces the cooldown of Fire Blast by 2 seconds, and it increases the number of charges by an additional second. Alexstrasza's Fury is just not up to par with Flame On, because Flame On will give you a lot more procs during your combustion. Also, because of the conduit that we're going to run, having multiple charges of Fire Blast is way more important than having more damage on the Fire Breath. I will go over the conduits later in this video, but you will see why you have to pick this one, because if you don't, you're just going to miss out on a lot of damage that you're going to use during your opening. On the next row, you can pick whatever you like, but I suggest to go with Frenetic Speed, because Frenetic Speed will increase your movement speed by 30 seconds for 3 seconds after you cast the swords. Since we're already using Searing Touch as well, casting swords is actually going to be very helpful down the line. So just imagine you need to reposition, but you also still want to deal damage. Frenetic Speed is just the perfect way to do that. On the sixth row, you have two options you can go for. First is the Flame Patch one. Well, what does it do? Well, after you cast the Flame Strike, it leaves behind a patch of flames, which burns enemies within it for X amount of fire damage. This also counts for your insta-cast Hot Streak fire strikes. So, in a dungeon there's a lot of stress and you need to kill it quickly, right? In order to get a timer. You're just spamming down all those Flame Strike, which all leave a different flame patch on the ground. So you're just doing a lot of AoE damage on the ground. Why is this actually better now? Well, because of the change to Ignite. Ignite used to always just spread around to enemies, but now you need to use Phoenix Flames in order to spread your Ignite around. Since you're not spamming Pyroblasts anymore into the target, your Ignite is not as big as it's used to. So actually casting Flame Strikes down on the ground in order to make work of Flame Patch is actually better now on 3 or more targets. For raiding, I suggest to go for Conflagration, because Flame Patch is not worth it during a single target boss fight, and the same thing goes for a Living Bomb, because it's just not doing enough damage, so it's not really worth it to use it for a global. So that's why you want to go for Conflag. It's a passive spell, it will always go on the target if you just keep spamming fireballs on top of it, so it's just free damage that you're gaining over a fight. Then, on the final row, the only viable option to go for is Kindling. Since Combustion is still our main source of damage, having a shorter cooldown on it than it's supposed to have will really increase your DPS over time. Combine this also together with the Nightfey Covenant ability, which also reduces the mage's cooldowns by an additional 10 seconds, we're almost actually going to have only a 1 minute long combustion cooldown. This of course highly depends on how long a fight takes, how many crits you have, or how lucky you are even. So you want to go for Kindling. Meteor It's just not doing enough damage. And Pyroclasm is not worth it to just cast Pyroblasts. So Kindling is just your only viable option to go for. And now for the legendaries that are viable for a Firemage. There are actually multiple legendaries that are currently viable for a Firemage. We're talking about Firestorm, Temporal Warp, and Fever Incantation, and the last one, Disciplinary Command. However, I would advise to wait with crafting your legendaries for fire, unless you're fine with your legendary getting nerfed. Most of the times, Blizzard likes to balance things around after Heroic Week or during it. Unless you're fine with them getting nerfed, just wait a little bit with crafting your legendary for fire. At the moment, Firestorm and Fevered Incantation are looking like they are the most viable one for fire. As you can see, most of my sources that I've found are leaning towards Fevered Incantation to be the best legendary for fire, but I will still wait and chill to see what's actually going to be the best after Heroic Week. That would be my advice before crafting legendaries. And now we're going to talk about the conduits for a Firemage. So right now there's only one conduit that is really strong compared to any other, and that's Infernal Cascade. What it does is while combustion is active, your Fire Blast grants you an X amount of increased fire damage for 5 times, stacking up 2 times actually. So during your combustion, most likely going to have around a 21% increased fire damage, which is just really strong, especially with the build that you're almost only having a 1-minute cooldown on your combustion. This conduit is dropping from the dungeon Plaguefall from the very last boss. Even the heroic item level 1 is already viable, because if you look at it, the mythic version is only increasing it by 0.9%. I recommend to farm this dungeon each day if you can, because also the Frost conduit is also actually dropping from this dungeon. So you're just basically catching 2 birds with 1 rock. And then we're almost at the end of the video already. But first, we're going to talk about stats that you want as a Firemage. There are actually 2 different ways that you can prioritize your stats. The single target way or the AoE way. But first I have to talk about the part that you're actually going to get punished in Shadowlands if you're stacking too much of a certain stat. That's because of the new system that they made in place. So basically in all scenarios you always want to go intellect first. But for single target, you want to go haste as your second. Then you want to get mastery, then you want to get versatility, and after that you want to get your crit rate. But that's for single target. What about Mythic Plus? So for AoE, you actually still want to go intellect as your main target, but after that you want to get your mastery. That's because of Ignite. Ignite still deals a lot of AoE damage, even though it's not spreading by Fire Blast anymore, but by Phoenix Flames. But after mastery, you still want to get your haste, then your versatility, and as last, the crit rate. Before we go further into the video, I want to mention that the stats that I just told you guys is a guideline what you can follow if you're not sure what stats are the greatest for you. But I highly suggest to always sim yourself if you want to know if an item is an upgrade, because every single person has a different stat weight compared to one another, because that might be because you're using different weapons, trinkets, or hell, even different chess pieces, you know? So I highly suggest to just sim yourself after you get an upgrade and you are not sure if it's actually better or not. That way, you're always guaranteed to see if it's better or not. And for the last part about stats, I quickly want to go over my own stat weight. As you can see, for single target, I'm in need of intellect first, then versatility, mastery, crit, and haste. That's just purely because I've not enough versatility compared to anything else, so that's why things are shifting around. The same thing goes for Mythic Plus. As you can see, intellect is just all the way on top. After that, I still want to get mastery, then versatility, then haste and crit. As you can see, versatility and haste are swapped again, because I don't have a lot of versatility at this point. So at this moment, I will just say follow your upgrades more than focus on the substats of a certain item. You can do that after you're done gearing, right? So after you're done with your raiding, after you're done with farming Mythic Plus and all that kind of stuff. That is my point of view of this. And then we're almost at the end of the video already. To quickly summarize everything up, this is the talent setup that you want to go. Conflag for single target, Flame Patch for more of an AoE fight. These are the legendaries that you want to focus on. If you already crafted your legendary, don't worry, you can get it your next legendary very quickly anyway, so it's not a big deal. You're most likely gonna have multiple legendaries anyway. Then, this is the Conduit that you want to run. This is the best one for now. And these are the stats. But still, I want to advise you to just sim and see what is better for you. Anyway, that was it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did learn something out of it, please leave a like and subscribe, because I will be making more of this kind of content. Anyway, thank you all for watching and have a good day. Bye bye.